Maybe we can start at page 3.
Yep, well, we gotta go back into session here.
Make a motion, we go back into public session.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Budget discussions.
You good?
Turn it over to you, Chief.
All right, looking at your packets and the 2-page kind of line item budget representing a 3.99% increase, which equates to a $128,000 increase in the budget. And before we go, I just want to point out that over 90% of that increase is contractual increases throughout the budget.
That line item, 350?
350 is part of that, yes. That line alone is 80, I believe 81,000, strictly contractual for patrol.
Okay.
And we also have dispatchers. Overtime was brought up to take into account the increase in hourly rate. And also dispatchers that we settled their contract and that. So a lot of those, and also a few of our bills, our recurring bills, contracts have gone up, so and those are mandated items, so.
I
We
got
go
some,
through,
I don't,
okay,
I'm sorry, maybe I'm getting,
but I don't know how you
how
wanna
do
go.
how do we wanna do this?
Why don't we just go page by page?
Okay, because I got a question on
Yep.
page 3,
All right, well,
Yep.
we're on
so if we're,
page 2,
Okay,
and these are the officer salaries.
yep, so this is all contractual, obviously, and spelled out, so.
We have no issue on page 2?
You said that's 80% of the overall increase?
That's 80,000 of the,
80,000, all right,
Yes.
that's what I had.
yep.
Okay.
The new officer that you have down here as of 1/2014, when do they start, January 1st, or?
They're funded as of January 1st, we're in the hiring process now.
Okay, so technically, we could back out 4 months out of that salary, because they're not on? Oh, this is for next year.
Yeah, this is for next year, yes.
They will be on by July 1st, though, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay, so page,
Page 3, this is the dispatcher salaries. Yeah, just maybe I'll answer a question here before you even answer it, but part of the new contract that we got with the dispatchers, they gave up the first right of overtime under certain circumstances, which is a pretty big item. So, and also in allowing us to hire up to 3 part-time dispatchers and to utilize them in overtime, in lieu of overtime first. So where you see that open beat line has been increased, that is where the part-time salaries would come out of to fill those positions, openings.
okay, I just have,
It's- go.
I'm sorry.
No, that's, I'm good.
I'm looking at on the explanation at the bottom of that.
Okay, that's a worst-case scenario in case we gotta fill it with officers. So,
Well, my question is this. You read the first line, it says, which creates 2 open overtime shifts per week. This figure is derived by using hourly rate of dispatcher at 1 time and a half, which is the 40.53 per 8 hours, which equal, or $324.24 per shift. This is multiplied by the open shifts, which is, you're saying is 121. If I'm saying 52 weeks at 2 times a week comes up to 104, rather than 121. I don't know where the number 121 comes from.
working a 4-2 schedule, there's actually more than 52
Well,
weeks.
this explanation doesn't say that. And all I'm saying, I'll bring this out, is if you're bringing this in front of the Board of Selectmen, if they don't know anything about this, I mean, the Board of Finance,
Right.
and they're reading this like I'm reading it, it's not fair on its face. You're saying 2 open shifts per week, 52 weeks, times
Right.
2 is 104, not 121.
I'll have to explain that because there's more weeks than 52 weeks
And that-
per se. And if you look at the final, that 39,000 figure, we didn't use that figure, we have to guesstimate there's really no science exactly how much part-time. Right now, we're able to fill those 2 beats every time with a part-timer, which was not a time and a half.
And that's why you got
So-
31 and 39. You got
Correct.
39,000,
Correct.
but the line where you're saying that is 31,145. So that's
We're
just,
trying to estimate that
okay,
some of those will be at full-time and a half, some will be at part-time. We don't know exactly. We know it's not gonna be 100% at 39,
right.
but we're trying to gauge in past practice where we're gonna fall roughly. So there, we can't put an exact figure.
Right.
So that's gotta be like an explained item when we go through it.
All right.
Now, when we got the budget, Mike and I and the chief looked at it,
Yeah.
that open beat line, we talked about making a reduction in,
Not in that
No,
line,
no, no, overtime,
in the dispatcher overtime.
oh,
6,500.
I'm on the wrong page. No.
Nope, you're on the right page, but there's a separate page for overtime. That's his
Right,
regular
not-
salary.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the overtime.
Yep.
Disregard that.
Chief,
Okay, go ahead.
okay, the suggestion I might make is, in that first sentence, say, which creates 2 open overtime shifts per 6 days,
Per
rather than.
work week, per work week is probably the right, even
And
though
then,
that's still
and then
gonna
in parentheses,
confuse.
put 6 days,
Yeah. Yep, that's fine.
because that creates the extra weeks, and these guys are analytical.
Okay, I'm
That's the
concerned,
stuff they get into, right?
Right, no, that's,
what are these people be gonna get per hour?
Per contract, they have I don't know the figure in the top of my head right now,
Okay.
but it's a straight rate. So they,
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about the part-timers.
yes.
$40 an hour?
No,
No.
That's overtime.
that's overtime.
That's a dispatcher on overtime.
Oh,
You know,
dispatcher and overtime.
That's if they cannot fill it with a part-timer.
Okay, who is the,
So-
what will the?
I think they're around 26, I don't have it exactly in my head, what a straight time first-year dispatcher works. Well, whatever the 40 is, that's a time and a half, so
So
I can figure that out.
there's a cut there then.
Yes, and that's why we're not using that 39,000 figure.
well, their
They're
hourly
using
rate now is
31.
around 25, 33.
Right, 2533.
That's what the hourly rate is basically for the full-timers.
Okay, so, what's the final cost? We don't know.
We don't know, we can't put an exact figure on there.
This is the worst scenario.
Down below 39 is the worst scenario.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do that, we know that. We have to put, similar to what we do with the patrol
Patrol
overtime line.
overtime's the same thing.
The worst
Make
case
a wag at
scenario
it.
on
Yeah.
patrol
Try to make a
overtime is like
reasonable
600.
wag at the thing every year.
And this will
You
be
have to
the,
explain it every year.
yeah, and this will be the first year where we have that ability to fill overtime spots
With
With
part-time.
with part-timers. So
Right.
after this calendar year, or this budget year, we'll have a better understanding.
Right.
So,
And the way I see it, that adds another 27,000 to make up the 120 that were over from last year.
correct,
So we're up to 107,000 in those 2 items of the 120
of the 128,
that you're
the
asking.
total, yes.
Total. So we've got 13,000 to play with.
Right.
That's what it amounts to.
Yeah. But we have reductions in some lines
Yeah,
to kind of
well, yeah, I
offset, but,
understand that, but I mean, that's what,
yeah,
yeah, so really
so there isn't this
over-
big,
Yeah, what you're requesting over last year's is
Right.
$13,000.
The other thing that's not clear there, Dave, when you got you got open beat, you got PT for part-timer, and you got 31, and then you got an asterisk next to it. And then the asterisk refers to police dispatchers
Right.
as opposed to part-timers, right?
No,
Well-
it's on the open beat line,
It
PT.
could- yes. So You're
right
right
next to
and
it.
you're wrong, I mean, at the same, the
Okay,
problem with this is that it really has to be explained. I'd have to write like a whole page, or,
okay, well,
like,
yeah.
as I go through this with the Board of Finance, and I had to do this last year, was explain the process. And just because it could be a combination of part-time, it could be a full-time dispatcher, it could be an officer. We don't know, depending on who's available.
Right,
So
availability, right.
there's a lot of variables
An
there.
officer, time and a half for
Yep.
this, right.
Well, again, all I'm saying on the face of it, they're gonna look saying part-time, then you're,
We're pretty confident it will save us money, just how much, we don't know yet,
okay.
so,
Is the part-timer fully trained?
yeah, they will be trained. You have to.
Bill that.
Well, the best case scenario, you go, because that 39 is the worst case, the best case scenario is 24,520, which is the 25.33 per shift, or per
Right.
hour per
That was
shift.
the best case scenario.
So you're.
But so we're budgeting 31,155, also knowing that there's gonna be other firm shifts, right?
Yes.
You
It's
could
very
get
hard to
officers-
have
you get officers thrown into this.
It's
too.
very hard to have,
Yeah.
you know, a dispatcher call out sick, you know, a half hour before the shift and know for sure you're gonna get a part-timer.
That's right.
You know, so it's a percentage you're fighting for. But I'll take that paragraph and try to clarify that work week before it goes over tomorrow morning. Okay, next, where are we here? The next line is the animal control. Okay, and where, this is the one area where you see an increase in the contract. Originally, the town budgeted for 2 part-time animal control officers at 19.5 hours a week. There's not enough money in the budget line for that. Right now, we have 1 animal control officer that's working 19.5 hours a week, 7 days a week. We always have an animal. So it's kind of a disaster waiting to happen. We got somebody coming in an hour in the morning, hour and a half for 7 days. How she's worked, the 1.5 years I've been here without a day off, a holiday off. I mean, I don't know how it's got this far. Really, the ideal way, we have a full-time animal control and part-time. Realizing, and that was my initial intent, was to request a full-time. Just with the budget and everything, I know it's not gonna fly. So the second best-case scenario is 2 part-timers. Right now, we're getting 0 animal control duties done. It's merely taking care of the pound and the animals. The problem is, when you have a pound like that, there's a lot of requirements by state statute that you gotta fulfill. And we're just not doing it, bottom line, we just can't. There's nothing being done on enforcement, licensing, you know, the town's losing revenue. So for about $11,000 increase, we're gonna gain a whole second person that can divvy up the hours, do some actual enforcement, and probably bring in that money, if not more, back to the town in fees and fines.
So this is for a part-time,
Part-time.
that's what the increase is about?
That's, yeah, increase in line, we are ready, the town already has approved 2 part-time.
Does that say that here? Because I don't see it.
No,
Again-
nowhere does it say anywhere that I could find.
Again, I think if you're gonna present this,
Yep.
that needs to be explained, because they're gonna be looking and waiting,
Right.
what happened? Why is this jumping up so much?
Right.
And I think you need to articulate that in this, you have all this explanation of, which is boilerplate, what they do.
Right.
But it doesn't explain at all, or articulate why there's a 37% increase. And I think that needs to be addressed in an explanation.
And my plan also is to explain that to the Board of Finance as I go through.
If you have it in writing before they actually get there, the explanation is going to go a lot easier.
How many hours is that actually gonna give us, $11,000 a year?
That'll allow for the 2 of them to work 19.5 hours a week. Both.
But if it costs us $27,830 for one person to work 19 hours.
Now, we had a cushion in there that there wasn't more than,
Both, so you're saying
Yes.
almost 39 hours combined between the 2?
correct,
Right.
correct, yeah.
Oh,
And also in there, we're required once a year to do a 40-hour training block, so that's included. But it's strictly the part-time status at 19.5 hours.
Is she working more than 19.5 now?
She was, we've pulled her back.
Yeah.
We've had some major cases, some animal cruelty cases, dog bites. It's been a busy year for
Right.
the animal
Yeah.
control officer.
This is the situation we got into with the dispatcher.
Yeah, right, and that's what popped up.
Right.
As a matter of fact, she did earn some, like, vacation time and some sick leave
Did she?
because she was over certain hours.
Okay.
So,
How's,
We don't want that again.
are we still servicing Bradley Field,
for,
animal control?
not that I'm aware of.
Are we supposed to be servicing Bradley Field?
You know, that's the first I've ever heard that. I don't,
It was
As far
my
as I know, I don't-
recollection that we were serving,
Rick, do you have
we
any
were
history on that?
servicing.
I got called up there a couple times for loose dogs that were supposedly supposed to be in transport. They got loose, but at the time, Scott went up there just to try to help. But other than that, we never went on any calls.
If we received a call asking for help, we would respond.
Okay, just curious, I was just
Yeah, no,
curious,
yeah.
as a source of cash.
The reality is, right now, we don't have the hours to even have her up.
Yeah, well,
Let's
no,
try to
not-
drive on that AOA once when I was up there.
Yeah.
No.
No, planes coming at you from every angle, not a good thing.
Okay.
No.
Okay, the next line would be the, education,
Mhm.
and that's going up from
What
one.
number is that now? Come on, what page?
It is page 5 in the
Page
booklet,
five.
line 353 in the budget, in the front, in the top page.
Okay,
And that's an increase from 111 to 120. And that's really to encompass the salary increases of the officers and step increases for the overtime involved in training, so.
And the increase in officers as well, remember we had more. on
Well, we
board.
are up to 27, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But not an increase in the amount of training hours per se. It's merely keeping up with the 111.
They haven't, the mandates haven't been.
Right, no,
state
we haven't,
mandates been
right,
increased.
correct.
It's just that
Yep.
we got
Yep.
salary and more personnel.
Community programs, the same, page 6.
Can I ask some questions on 5A?
Yes.
Probably nitnoid questions. Down at B, under 1B,
Okay.
says 52 state, this is travel time, times 3 officers. And there's, in A, it says there's 8 officers attending. Right?
And I'd have to check that, but it might be, we already know the locations of the training. So some of them are further than others. So I have to check that before I comment on that.
Well,
So I know it says a half hour, but,
it's half hour one way, so it's an hour.
right,
But it's for 3 people instead of the 8 that you're talking about in A.
right. But I don't know if the other 5 might be in a PD location very close, where it's only like a 10-minute. So it offsets, I don't, that's
Oh,
what
is
I
that
just, that's the actual.
that's the fudge between the
Right.
8 and the 3?
Yeah, I believe it is, but before I,
Again, it's gonna be
Say that.
something that
Yep.
could raise it in, okay.
That's Alma, you
That
and
changes, that would change your number. As I'm looking at the officers entitled to
it would increase it, is what you're saying.
increase it, yes, exactly. My calculations are right, the 8 officers would probably come to 3,100 something instead of 29.
I'll check that before it goes over, but,
And then the other question I would ask, Chief, is on 2A on the same page, talking about firearms training, 27 officers at 32 hours. Does that include the shotgun and the ARs,
yes.
sidearms, it excludes it all? Okay. So that may, because someone in Board of Finance may wonder, why does it take 32 hours to
Mhm.
qualify with physical?
Right.
Point is you're qualifying with
Right.
more stuff, so may help it go easier.
Is that supposed to be 16 hours per year?
16 hours for firearms, for handgun. Not for everything combined.
Quick question on the same page, where the 5583, how's that calculated?
5583 is the overtime rate for the top patrolman.
For the top patrolman?
Right.
So the
So we
ones.
factor in a couple lower, a couple higher, and
Average.
it's an average.
So do you base that off of their base salary or off of their salary after shift premium and education and that,
Base salary.
off of their base?
Yes. Yep, because usually it's daytime, it's not
And the work week is about 38 and a half then?
37 and a half.
37. Might come down a little higher. Okay. Six.
I have a question on 5B.
5B?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, talking about number 2 up there on the top, cost of toxicology, college, yeah, that's the training for it, right?
That's correct.
27 officers, are you and a captain and lieutenant taking that
I
training?
am not. The captain and I do not.
Okay.
I do not. I want to say that for
So-
sure, but
That looks like, if we're doing the calculations, we can reduce that number. To
we
what,
could
20
reduce it to $200.
24 or whatever.
Yep.
He doesn't shoot?
It would reduce that line a little bit. The other question is, that number 27 incorporated you, the captain, lieutenant, and a new hire, right? 27?
Correct.
Is a new hire gonna get this training at the academy? Is he required to take
No.
it? He's not, he doesn't?
No, that has to be here.
Has to be,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, and the lieutenant also. Will have that.
So actually, you don't administer this.
No, I don't, this is the intoxilizer,
Yeah,
this is
I
the
know.
DUI machine.
The captain does it now, what the lieutenant?
Lieutenant would,
Why?
just so he's certified if he has to run the machine, if he's working, he's a part of patrol.
Okay, I was
So,
just trying to
yeah.
get him off
Yep,
of it too.
no. Anybody work, you know,
Okay.
technically we probably all should be, but realistically, it's not, you know, it's not a mandate, put it that way.
So that should be 24 officers?
So, maybe
So
25.
25. Who is the instructor in this, by the way, chief? Where's he coming from, or where are we going to?
We have an in-house instructor for that,
Okay,
so.
so the travel time in B is for? the-
Well, there's also a state test, and as of recently, my experience is it was in Hartford, we had to go to the lab for the testing. Now, you know, I don't know 100% if that's the case this year, but
Who has to test?
the state actually mandates the test, does the test.
For our instructor, is that what you're saying?
For our instructor, correct.
Okay, so we have to go, that's what the travel time is
Right.
about?
Look on the travel time, let's look at it. How did every officer gets 2 hours?
No, that's for the
One
instructor.
officer.
Just the instructor.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
instructor. He's gotta be recertified.
Okay, I understand, okay,
Okay.
now, the other question, the other officers, when they have, on the travel time, do they, each of them get $55 an hour?
They get their overtime rate.
Every
Right.
officer?
Right. If there's a travel involved, you have to pay
Okay,
them.
but why is that? Couldn't we get a SUV or something, but 4 or 5 officers in one car? Look at the amount of money we'd be saving.
It's your time, it's not driving.
Okay.
So if it takes a half hour to get somewhere.
Who negotiated this contract? Jim, did you negotiate this contract?
Yeah, I laid on me.
Okay, we tried.
That's standard.
Well, I know,
Understand.
we tried, I'm not arguing with you.
Dear officer down the bottom, is that, where's he going for that? Yeah, right at the bottom, at number 3.
It depends where the class is held, it could be at the academy, it could be, I think Officer Garofalo went to Milford for the last one.
Yeah.
That just changes, it depends, I mean.
But doesn't the town pick up, the Board of Ed pick up half of this?
The Board of Ed picks up half of the
Salary.
SRO salary, thank
Yeah,
you.
right, but not half of this.
No.
We lost $250. Okay.
5C, just a question.
Go ahead.
The MRT training, the 8 officers, is that happening here in town? There's no travel, no,
Yeah, we try to bring the instructor in.
okay, there's no, okay, so there's no travel.
Right.
All right,
I think we use Enfield ambulance or our ambulance, somebody, we need a certified instructor, but
yeah.
the last one I saw was brought in.
I think Steve Molinari does it from the Lions Club too sometimes.
You don't get shot with a taser at all? You don't go for that?
No,
No.
We used to.
it's not healthy.
So you're gonna have 8 people certified, right?
Yeah, and they're certified on every 2 years, so that's why isn't everybody,
Yeah, yeah.
so.
But can they be certified while they are on duty?
No, because it's a 4-hour block. So you'd be taken off the road, you couldn't take off, you know, everybody, and scheduling wise, you need to schedule, you know, for the instructor, you gotta pay an instructor
Yeah.
usually to come in,
But you don't pay them $55 an hour, do you?
you know.
Well, as the instructor, give more classes, 3 or 4 days.
Well, actually, the instructors do make quite a bit, because we just sent our new ones, and I think it was $500 a class for the instructor. So, it's pretty,
You can't.
and now the state mandates that a proctor is there during the written tests, so you have to actually bring in somebody from the state to sit while the officers take a written test.
Does it say
So-
MD or in just any?
No, just, I don't even know what their qualifications are. Proctor, not a doctor,
I got you, doctor.
proctor.
I'll
Is
volunteer.
this one of them 3 students? Chief, just a question on, you and the captain are included in some of this stuff coming up. Next one is the hazmat and blood pathogens and that sort of thing, not listed in there, obviously. Does that have any impact when we start down the road for certification? Are you and the captain and the
Yeah,
They're
and
gonna
some
be
of those
checking the
trainings, we will go to, but it won't cost any money, because we're already working.
okay.
You know, when they're brought
Yeah.
in like that,
Yeah.
we'll still get those
Should
certifications,
it get-
but,
Okay,
but we're salary and that, so it's not a,
Yeah.
no, not included.
so.
Thank you.
But yeah, as we go for certification, or accreditation,
Accreditation,
yeah, you need to have that,
Yeah.
yeah. Are we good for 6?
I think we should take bicycle
Oh,
rodeos
I had
out.
a 5E, I had a question.
5E?
5E,
5E?
5E.
Okay.
I might probably know the answer to this, but on the supervisory training, you got 6 officers, and I think that's the sergeants and the lieutenant.
The sergeants, yes, the sergeants, the lieutenant, and that also includes the detective sergeant.
Right.
Correct.
What's corporals?
Corporals we haven't named yet, when we do.
Is
they
that
won't
gonna be in
part
this
of that.
fiscal year though?
They're not there yet, they could be,
This is for the next fiscal year.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
right.
they could be,
I thought we were
So-
doing corporals pretty quick.
we hope to, yes. I mean, yeah, so we'd have to absorb that cost if it happened. It's not in the budget here, we didn't,
Okay,
That's
you
what
don't
you're
wanna put it
pointing
in
out.
the budget, okay.
I don't wanna increase anything at this point,
Okay.
but,
All right.
Where is this training? Is this the academy?
some of it is the, we brought in the Bill Riley,
Yeah.
to do some outside training. It's also to try to do quarterly training with all our supervisors together. Just, it takes so long to get the post, first line
Slots.
supervisor class.
Yeah.
We're just getting our second sergeant to it now. That's how long it takes, you know, so, we got one upcoming in March. The next one might not be till May, June, you know, so.
Is it Enfield going to start a class for this
You know,
in-house trained or something?
Enfield's talking about doing their own academy,
Academy,
entry-level academy.
entry level.
Right.
That's
Because it's
interesting.
so hard to get spots for an academy.
Yeah, right.
So, departments that need to hire a lot are having a problem.
The other question I have is, I think it's just a typo on that last, under tactical training on 5E. You got 25 officers at 8 hours and it says 260, I think it's supposed to be 200. My fourth grade.
Your fourth grade math
Multiplication.
is absolutely right.
200?
It's the same number.
It's the
I
same
mean,
number?
It still comes
Okay.
out to 11,000.
Okay,
It's just that, I think it was a typo.
okay. Well, it didn't affect the other number. Okay.
Will it affect the other big number?
No.
It's not the same. No. Okay.
Okay, round 6, community program stays the same.
This is where the Explorer program would come into play.
Well, we
ever-
possibly could, it depends, we've done different things, all the different Winterfest, things of that nature.
Yeah,
Part of the firemen's carnival came out of there, and any programs that we do in the town and in the schools, that's what we try to take out of there.
Can we
was
expect-
this eliminated,
Myself,
this was eliminated last year?
What's that?
Was this a line item
No,
eliminated?
no, we had the same amount last year.
Same amount.
Under actual, appropriated,
Line
did we,
six.